Let's talk about the police shotgun for just a moment. While considered by some to be low-tech, no other shoulder-fired weapon in the world combines the bone-crushing stopping power with the versatility of available ammunition. In addition to its other attributes, looking down the wrong end of a short-barreled 12-gauge is a legendary intimidation factor. The sight of that huge muzzle has stopped many a gunfight before it ever started. If the shotgun has any drawbacks, it would be its reputation for excessive recoil and overpenetration. Based solely on this, some people think the shotgun is an outdated police tool. Love it or hate it, what you're about to see today will certainly change the way you perceive it. The PolyShok transforms this mainstay of law enforcement into a true 21st century weapons system without equal in today's crowded urban environment. Now, the shotgun we'll be using today is a Scatterguns Technologies Border Patrol model. It has an 18-inch barrel and a cylinder bore choke. We selected this gun as a good representation of a broad range of police shotguns. While optimized for this configuration, the PolyShok may be used with good effect in any smoothbore 14 to 20-inch barrel with up to a modified choke. It's designed to operate in any 2 3/4 or 3-inch chamber and will cycle all clean and well-maintained automatics. The optimum range for the PolyShok is up to 50 yards with a typical accuracy of about a 4-inch group. Our shooting today will consist of several scenarios representing real-world situations, with all shots being fired from 30 feet to the target. Crime seldom picks an ideal place to happen, and narcotics, SWAT, and violent crime units, more often than not, find themselves working in multi-family housing complexes under the least desirable of conditions. What we have here is a 1-hour firewall, which is a National Building Code minimum standard partition wall between multi-family housing units such as apartments. It consists of 2 sheets of 5/8-inch fire-rated sheetrock on each side of a stud. The only difference between our wall and the real thing is that the stud would probably be a light gauge metal and there would be a band of fiberglass insulation inside, neither of which will make any difference ballistically. This particular scenario is designed to show what would happen if things went wrong inside a typical apartment during an arrest. In this situation, a shot will be fired into the partition wall separating 2 apartments. Until now, any current police weapon with any conventional ammunition would not only penetrate this wall, but would retain lethal energy for at least 50 yards downrange. That is, until now. On the other side of our wall is our backstop, a piece of 1/4-inch safety glass. This is the same glass used in shower doors, and it shatters into tiny crumb-like pieces when flexed or tapped the wrong way. We'll fire the PolyShok into the wall, and just to make sure that what you're seeing is real, we're going to fire 4 consecutive shots through the wall with only the glass as our backstop. Watch the sheetrock dust carefully as the round punches through the back of the panel. You'll actually be able to see the focused pressure wave we were talking about earlier. Watching this demonstration, it's sometimes hard to believe that we just transferred over 1/2 ton of energy to this target 4 times, all without breaking our glass backstop. We've changed our setup and now have a 1-gallon container filled with water. Let's call it the terrorist in front of our glass backstop. We'll call it a good guy, or in this case, a hostage. I think most of you would agree that our container of water only represents about half the ballistic resistance of a human target. In fact, let's consider it a worst case scenario. Now let's see what the PolyShok will do in this situation. Once again, over 1/2 ton of energy into the first target without breaking the glass. Now you can see just how effective the PolyShok is for today's crowded urban environment. And just so you won't think this was a fluke, we'll do this shot all over again. We could keep this up all day, but I think you get the point. At this point, some of you may be saying, sure, it may be safer than normal ammunition, but it probably wouldn't shoot its way through a wet paper bag. After all, the PolyShok projectile case is plastic. Well, let's address that issue now. This is a sheet of 16 gauge hot roll steel plate. And on the other side of our target stand is a sheet of 1/2 inch thick structural plywood. Just how tough is this target? Well, at this range, high velocity double aught buck will just bounce off the steel if that's any indication. Once again, we'll shoot 4 times just to prove that what you're about to see is real. Would you like to talk about controlled power? Only the shape charge effect will provide the power needed to punch through this steel plate and plywood, yet leave the glass backstop intact only a few feet away. There are times when law enforcement officers absolutely must shoot through a barrier to get to the bad guy behind it. In this scenario, the round has to penetrate an initial barrier and retain enough energy to incapacitate the bad guy on the other side. A good example of this would be when someone is ducked behind a wall or a door and they're using it for cover while shooting at an officer. The PolyShok was designed to be up to this task. It provides a 2-foot zone past an initial impact against partition walls and residential type doors where the pressure wave still retains incapacitating or potentially lethal energy. In this scenario, we've constructed a standard partition wall using 1 sheet of 1/2 inch thick sheetrock on each side of a normal 2x4 stud. This represents the interior walls of almost all homes built in the U.S. within the last 20 years. It also gives about the same ballistic resistance as a normal residential type door. In this next stand, we have a 1/2 inch thick structural plywood bad guy. The stands are 2 feet apart, and as before, our glass backstop is directly behind the action. Our bad guy is about to find out that crime doesn't pay. One of the most difficult shooting scenarios faced by law enforcement officers on the street is the automobile windshield. Because of the angle, hardness, and natural impact resistance of the laminated glass itself, windshields present a challenge to almost any type of ammunition. One of our primary development goals was to be able to shoot through a windshield or side window, take out the bad guy, and not break the glass on the other side of the car. This would be the only way a shot could be taken safely if the situation involved other traffic. In this stand, we have a piece of OEM windshield glass locked in at a 45-degree angle. 2 feet behind in the next stand is our 1/2 inch thick structural plywood bad guy. Let's see what happens when the PolyShok meets the glass. Perhaps the most impressive part of this demonstration, other than it can actually punch through the glass, is that there's almost no deflection. Upon contact with the windshield, conventional projectiles, in particular buckshot, will immediately start to skid along the surface of the glass because it's hard, tough, and slow to yield. The PolyShok projectile is more pliable and molds itself to the angle of the glass, giving the glass enough time to give way under the force of impact. This slight delay created by this effect allows for an amazingly clean entry with almost no deflection. As you can see, our bad guy has learned a valuable lesson today, all without the expense of replacing our glass backstop. In recent years, we've been witness to a new level of criminal behavior. Equipped with military weapons and using the most ruthless of tactics, these are the worst of the worst. More than ever before, included in their tools of the trade will be body armor. The shape charge effect you've seen demonstrated against a variety of targets works equally well against most forms of soft body armor. Even though the round itself typically won't penetrate a single layer of Kevlar, the focused pressure wave produced during impact is transmitted through most body armor with sledgehammer effectiveness. To demonstrate, we secured a threat level 2 Kevlar and Spectra vest panel to a 2-inch thick concrete block. We'll now fire the PolyShok round into the vest and let you see the results. Looking at the hole in this block, you might imagine what the guy wearing this vest would have felt like after the shot. This is the last tactical scenario in our demonstration, and probably best exemplifies the original intent and purpose of the PolyShok. After all, our main goal was to create the ultimate weapon for use in today's crowded urban environment. In our first stand, we have a polyethylene container filled with water. We'll call it our bad guy. 3 feet away and directly behind it, we have a second container of water, our good guy. The only thing between the two containers is a piece of denim cloth. This is the same denim used to make blue jeans. As you watch this demonstration, remember that a 73 caliber, 540 grain projectile will hit this first container at over 1,000 feet per second. Let me repeat that. A 73 caliber, 540 grain projectile at over 1,000 feet per second. It's only when you think of these numbers for just a moment that you can truly appreciate what you're about to see. The pressure wave and column of water being carried by it knocked our second container off the stand. But here's our good guy, and other than needing a good stiff drink and a little counseling is no worse for the experience. Feel free to try this experiment at your range with any weapon in your arsenal. Then decide which weapon and ammunition you would rather see used if you were the good guy in this situation. Many agencies will look at this video and say, yes, it looks like a great round and obviously has some advantages over conventional ammunition, but will it really stop the bad guy? Knowing that this would be a major concern, we've had a group of medical professionals working with us for over 3 years to develop testing procedures and evaluate the terminal performance of the round. Today we'll do a very visual demonstration for you by shooting the PolyShok round into this block of ballistic gelatin. Looking at this 5-inch diameter permanent wound channel, you might get the idea that the round does indeed have everything needed to stop the bad guy under the most demanding circumstances. Now let's go back to the classroom for a brief summary and to answer some frequently asked questions. By now you have a good understanding of how the shape charge effect and pressure wave technology works. And after spending the time on the range, you can see how the PolyShok transforms a police shotgun into a weapon more effective and more efficient than any rifle, submachine gun, or pistol for urban police work. I want to spend just a few minutes now answering some of the most frequently asked questions that we may not have covered during the tactical demonstrations. We're often asked how the PolyShok performs against automobile doors and body panels. Side impact beams, braces, window carriers, and any other number of metal components within the structure of a car body present too many variables to guarantee good results. However, the round does give excellent results against auto glass and tires. Several agencies have expressed an interest in the PolyShok as a door breaching round. We've tested the round against a wide variety of residential exterior doors and found that it works as well, if not better, than many normal breaching rounds. Proper breaching techniques and standoff should be exercised for best results, however. Many officers have asked if the PolyShok is available in rifle and handgun calibers. Unfortunately, the physics that make the PolyShok work so effectively do not lend themselves to a delivery package much smaller than a shotgun-sized projectile. Almost without exception, when law enforcement officers see the demonstration, they ask if the round is available to the public. You can rest easy. The PolyShok is only available to law enforcement, military, and licensed security agencies. In closing, I would like to leave you with one basic fundamental truth. The work you do is uncompromising, and the tools you use can leave no margin for error, because on the other side of every crime are innocent families depending on you to protect them. One of those families is yours.